Kenny Ault, special edition Wednesday night. We're live.
How's it going, Mr. Kenny?
I'm alive for now.
Is it Kenny or is it Cruising Kenny?
The whole Cruising Kenny thing, that actually came from when I was my first stint in radio.
Okay.
I worked for an oldie station, and so kind of went that way. And
Nice.
I don't know, it kind of stuck when I was out there at MAD. So
Right on. So looks like you've had a pretty busy week. This week with you. I seen I got a call from you and a text, and I seen some posts. I think what's that up to now, Gary? Like 17,000 views or something?
It was, when I looked about an hour-ish ago, it was like 18,400.
18,400 views. So that's pretty exciting. But But we told the team we told the community we come out here and bring you on and talk a little bit about what you got going. So we got 52 people already watching, and we just wanted to come here and we don't have a start or a start time on this. Just kind of how we get going. Some questions are going to start popping in and talking, and we'll just let it flow from there. Does that sound okay?
sounds great.
Right on. So what's your big announcement?
Well, so Kansas International Dragway will be back for the 2024 season. And we've got the track going to be open back up. We'll start working on the facility, doing physical stuff sometime next month after the Christmas guys get out of the way. So,
right on. Yeah, I got the Christmas parties going on right now. Yeah, good.
By the way, if you haven't been out there, that's a lot of lights that are out there at the drag strip, and you get to drive down the track under the lights. That's a whole different experience.
There you go.
Starting to think maybe I need to borrow one of those that you guys can race underneath during the season.
Yeah, I think I've seen some people talking about doing the light deal there, and they wanted to do a burnout.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Well, there wasn't anybody out there. We got out there really, really late last night. We had ball games in Pretty Prairie, and I got past the 8th mile, and I kind of slowed the car down real quick and gave it some gas. And Jennifer's sitting next to me. Stop it! You're going to get us in trouble. We're going to get kicked out of here.
Going to tell the manager, right?
Yeah.
So,
man.
A couple questions are coming through already. So one of the questions coming up is, are you going to be NHRA?
Yes, we are going to be sanctioned with NHRA. Nick Duty is the Division 5 director, and been in contact with him. He's out of the country right now for Christmas vacation. Must be nice, Nick. But he, as soon as he gets back, we're going to be sitting down. I've got to go to Overland Park January 19th for the Division 5 meeting. So we'll have a lot of information that we'll release to everybody after I get back from that meeting. But yeah, we are going to be NHRA sanctioned. So we'll be the only NHRA sanctioned track in the state of Kansas.
Okay, right on. So talking through that, how do we get some more information? Is there, you have schedule ready? Do we go to a Facebook page, a website?
So a couple of things. We're working on getting control of a couple of those things. J.R. Sandlin was super nice. Talked to him the other day. He's given us access to the actual domain, the website that they had. So, which I think is kansasdragway.com. It's not up yet. I'm still going to be working. I've got a webmaster that's going to be taking care of that for us. And so all we got to do then is we'll work on the Facebook page from there. But, we'll get it out and we'll get it shared. I've got another meeting tomorrow night with the family. And so we'll really be hammering things out here over the next few weeks.
Okay. No, good to know. Do you have like a goal date you would like to open, or is that too far ahead to decide?
So I have what is our preliminary schedule right now. It'll be official here in the next couple of weeks. But what we're looking at, and one thing that I do want to say here, since we're talking about schedules, I've been on the phone with Gary Harper. I've been on the phone with Chris Maybrier. You know, you guys know how much I cared about Mid-America Dragway, right? And that track was very special to me, and it still is very special to me. And so even though I'm working at Kansas International Dragway, that doesn't mean anything about us working together to make the sport better in our region. And so my entire schedule was based off of what Mid-America Dragway already had. And so and this works out really well for us. They already had most of the Saturdays booked up in March for test and tunes. We're going to wait until April, and so that way we know that we have plenty of time to get everything done that needs to be done out there and ready to go for the season. So but our first actual race will make you two happy, because our first actual race will be April 13th, and we start out with Heads Up Series number 1.
Okay. Wow, let me write that down. So April 13th.
That's 3 in a
April
row, right?
13th.
Yeah. Are we open that weekend, Gary?
Yes, that's between Arc City's first and Radio Roundup in Ennis.
All right. Fair. Ooh. So during this first race, do you know what kind of classes you're going to have for that, or?
So we're going to base a lot of stuff off of, you know, what I was used to doing down at Arc City. So, you know, we'll do small tire, we'll do a big tire category. We're going to do the index classes. So we'll do a 580, we'll do a 650, and we'll do a 12.0. So those will be the 5 classes that we're going to start out with for the Heads Up Series for this season.
Okay.
And
we got go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I was going to say, before we get too far and let Kenny run wild, there's a lot of questions already popping in here. You're probably going to cover some of it, but do we want to just like take a break for a minute periodically and just catch up on some of these?
Yeah, that's fine.
You've already talked about the NHRA. This question here, are there any new planned upgrades to the facilities?
Yes. So currently right now, what we're working on for this year is we are right now concentrating on about 3 or 4 different things that are up for auction from Heartland Park, Topeka. One of those is the CompuLink timing system. So if we can get that, we are ripping out the AccuTime system, and we will lay in a whole new to us CompuLink system. Now, I can tell you, I've worked the last 3 nationals in the tower. I've worked double divisional in the tower. That CompuLink system works very, very well.
Cool.
Good. Here's another question.
Yep. You might have said something already, but Sean Jennings says, are you going to race weekly bracket races?
So it's not going to be weekly, but we have 7 bracket races that are on the schedule for this season.
Okay. Is that pro, super pro, sportsman type stuff?
Yep. So pro, super pro, sportsman, junior dragster, junior street, high school, motorcycle, and then we'll have a test and tune category. So.
Okay. Good.
Danny
Davis asking about Heads Up. You've touched on that briefly already.
Yes. And one of the things that I'll touch on too on this, and you know, I'm going to get with you guys probably here in the next couple of weeks, because I think you guys would be a great asset to help with this. But anyway, so we're going to have Heads Up. We're going to have 3 Heads Up races. So our first one, April 13th. Our second one will be May 25th. And that will be with the PMRA motorcycles. And then June 29th will be our third one, and that'll be with PMRA motorcycles. And then we are bringing back the Summer Nationals, but the Summer Nationals will have no bracket racing. The Summer Nationals will be a show this year. And so one of the things that we want to bring in, though, is we want to put together a small tire shootout for the Summer Nationals. And that'll be July 19th and 20th.
Since you brought that up, is this going to be an evening or in the dark type of deal? Because the middle of July is going to be like 420 degrees out.
Yeah, it'll be an evening deal. Now that being said, a lot of people are concerned with running till God knows when, right? Okay, so Park City has already enacted a noise ordinance over 81 Speedway and Jeeps. So they are not allowed to run race cars past midnight. I had a conversation with the chief of police at Mays the other day, and myself and the family and the Richardsons who run Bar to Bar are putting together a letter that we want to present to the Mays City Council that states that we will not race any cars down the track after midnight.
Oh.
So we will, that's how we're going to run this thing. So, if we, right.
From there.
Well, there's more and more people that are moving out that direction. There's a whole new housing addition right around the corner from where the track is. There's a brand new house that just got built at 61st and Ridge. I mean, there's tons of people that keep moving up around that area. The only way that we're going to have a good working relationship with the community is if we're not driving the community up the wall. So,
right. Give me 1 second. I lost Rodney.
Rodney disappeared.
One second.
Rodney's trying to play David Copperfield.
I'll let you talk about this while I'm doing this. Here's another question about licensing. Will I be able to do my licensing passes from NHRA in April?
Yes. Yep. You will be able to do your licensing passes in April. You can do those during the test and tune. So, and we're gonna do things kind of like we used to down at MAD. So, bracket races, there'll be some open testing. We didn't really have a ton of people that did testing while we were there for bracket races. Sometimes we'd have guys that, if they lost, they'd want to go back up there. They want to try and see, fix their car before they go home that day. And then, we'd have onesies and twosies that would come in. But the heads up series, we won't do any test and tune. It's just going to be the heads up cars and the motorcycles running. I don't want to have any issues with somebody coming out there with the wrong tires, tearing up what we've already got going. So, back on the improvements while we're waiting on Rodney, I am putting together a 5-year plan that I would like to see happen. Of course, it depends on how things go and the support we get and it's all about money, right? So It's all about the money that gets brought in. Now, it was brought to me before I ever said anything. I will say a member of the family brought it up to me that they know that the track needs a resurface. So we are talking about possibly in the next couple of years, and I don't know if it'll be for next year's season or the 2026 season, but at some point we have discussed putting a new surface down at the track. This year we will still have the guardrails, but we are looking at doing the concrete K-rails just like MAD has. We are looking at doing that at KID for the 2025 season. And when we do that, we will pull all the guardrail from where the scoreboards are all the way back to where they start down by the burnout box. And so all of that would be concrete K-rail.
Cool. You mentioned motorcycles a little bit ago, and this goes with that. Kenny, will you include motorcycles during your first heads-up race?
So we're going to hold off on that only because the PMRA is coming in, and I want to make sure that motorcycle guys are concentrating on the 2 dates that the PMRA is in, because I really want people to go support that. Chad's a great guy. He puts on a great program with PMRA. And I really think that our racers that we have in the Wichita area, if they haven't been to a PMRA event, I think they will really, really enjoy his setup and the way that they do their classes. And so I don't want to take anything away from that. And I want people to just be excited and come back for that. So
Cool. Any upgrades to the pit parking stuff? Justin Shaver says upgrades to the pits. I don't like parking my 50,000 pound rig in the mud, but it doesn't rain no more. It rains like twice a year.
I know. Yeah. Well, I don't know what you're talking about, Shaver. Get there early so you can park on the asphalt. No. I will tell you right now, the biggest thing I'm concentrating in the pits is getting rid of stickers. So
well, you know how to fix that? You get on that. You get on the stickers. You got to get on that Kansas International Dragway community and ask the experts. And
oh yeah.
I know you read a bunch of that stuff. You had to have seen some of that.
Here's the deal. A lot of people, have different opinions about me, and that's fine. Like, I mean, this is the first time I'm going to be track manager. I think that the knowledge that I had and then the knowledge that I gained working for Chris and Jim and all the things that we went through at MAD for that first 5 years, I really think has prepared me for this position. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to make everybody happy. Hell, I might piss off Rodney on the starting line. You never know. But Rodney doesn't get mad. Rodney just laughs and then turns around and, isolates himself from everybody. But the thing about it is like, there's a lot of people that had suggestions that, hey, I'd like to see this happen. That's great. Can we get to everybody's concerns right away? No. But at least we know what the public wants and what they expect and some of the things that they're looking for. And so, a lot of those comments were great, really positive things, and we loved hearing them. There was one comment on there that was kind of, it was coming from a bunch of different people. And I will tell you right now, for the first season, and this was the decision that was made, not just by me, that goes higher than me. We will not have any, for this first season, we will not have any back of the track or no prep races.
Okay.
That answered a lot of questions right there.
Well, and I think here's the thing, it's when it was brought up, and talked about, one of the discussions that came from higher was the guardrails. And as fast as a lot of the cars are that are on the no prep scene, they don't like having those cars running with those guardrails, right? They if we could get rid of all the guardrails right now, they would do it. And we're still kind of talking. Maybe we can at least get one side taken care of, right? But they're just not comfortable doing that right now for this first season back. And so, I've been hired by the family to come in and run the track, but ultimately it's still their track. They own it.
Right.
And that's another thing that was brought up, was a lot of people were like, well, who leased the track? Nobody leased it.
Right.
The family saw how many people missed this place, how many people wanted this place back. They saw the need and the love for the track. And so that's when they started discussing bringing the track back. And, they wanted to see this place survive. They wanted to see this place continue on. And so that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing this. So,
okay, that's fair. It's good information.
Cool.
What's the next question, Gary?
When we talked to you the other night, you mentioned Funny Car Chaos, and here's a question. Trey Newkirk says, "Bring back Funny Car Chaos?" ?
I would love to. It won't happen for this season. Funny Car Chaos already has their schedule in place. They already have their championship series put together. It's something that I would love to have a conversation with Chris Graves about and see what we can do. I think it was a great event. I think, that'd be something that'd be awesome to have. We'd kind of like to do it maybe a little bit later in the season, maybe towards the fall. it's something that we're going to explore the options on for 2025.
Okay, good.
This is about the bikes, street bike and pro bike classes, ?
We're going to just go with ET motorcycle.
Okay.
That's going to be our motorcycle class that we have. When we get out there, everybody has different issues, right? I was talking to some guys that do figure 8 racing the other day, and one of the guys was complaining because you got guys that have $15,000 in a car, and you got guys that have $5,000 in a car, and he goes, well, it's just not fair because I got to run these guys. Well, John Force had to race against Tom Hoover back in the day, and Hoover had a heck of a lot more experience on him,
Oh,
Gary has to
race against Gary. I mean, there's 15,000 right there.
So, and that's the thing. I can't control how much somebody invests in this program, in this hobby. So I can't control. I mean, if you want to get better, you got to race the best. And that's kind of where I'm at on it. So, if you got a street bike, man, it's bracket racing. You ain't got to have the fastest bike to win. So we're just going to go with ET motorcycle class, and that's how it's going to run for this year.
Okay. Our heads up buddy Troy Aves is asking about Friday test and tunes.
So we do have some of those scheduled. So May 24th, before the second heads up race, will be a Friday night run. June 28th, before the third heads up, will be a Friday night run. And then let's see, there might be one more in here that I don't know why I can't see it right now, but there's about 3 of them that are on the schedule just for this first year. But the first 2 that we'll have are prior to the heads up series. Okay. So,
and this, you may have already answered this, but this is a question about, are you going to keep the midnight grudge drags? But you've talked about a curfew also.
Well, and honestly, that's kind of our Friday night drags for right now. So, when you come out on Friday night, you want to get in and you want to run, great, come on out. As far as the grudge racing goes, we might throw a gamblers race together here and there, but that's those Friday nights on the schedule. That's when we want you to come out and kind of run and basically it's going to be our Friday fun day. So.
Got it. Danny Davis here. Danny Davis says, let's get together, Kenny. Whenever I'm in town next year, I'd like to add some money to a heads up race to support my friends.
That sounds great. I'll take all your money, Danny.
Danny, give Kenny. That's an order. The heads up dates. Run them heads up dates again. Cameron Marsoff, he says, what's them heads up dates again?
Yep. So the first one is going to be April 13th. So April 13th will be heads up number 1. Heads up number 2 will be Saturday, May 25th. Heads up number 3 will be Saturday, June 29th. And then the small tire shootout will be July 19th and 20th with the Summer Nationals.
Got it. There's a back of the track. You answered that. Streetcar event, streetcar event like King of the Open Road. The drag and drive, King of the Open Road stuff.
We're going to explore some options that we might have with that for the 2025 season. What I want to say to a lot of folks is there's a lot of things that I really wanted to do, but we are so far behind the curve on getting schedule done and trying to book events for the season that there's a lot of these events I would love to have, but we can't right now. So a lot of these events, streetcar takeover or, import face off or Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0, any of those types of events, we're just kind of out of the loop for this season because they've already made their schedules. So we're really going to start focusing on that as soon as we get down to the end of the season next year. And really start kind of getting those things figured out with some of these promoters and see if we can get on their schedules.
Okay. This is a good question here. If you're going to have track rentals, can the track rentals go past midnight from Jake Mason?
Unfortunately, we will have track rentals, but no, they cannot go past midnight.
Gotcha. Here's the junior question. Are you going to be running juniors?
Yes, we are going to be running juniors. We will be running juniors. So we'll run junior dragster, junior street, and high school in all of our bracket points races. And then, so we have a weekend race in August. August 24th will be our last bracket point series race. And then August 25th, the next day, is going to be our juniors race. And it's going to be a back to school bash where we're going to do a school supply drive. And that'll get donated to local schools around the area.
Cool. Any specialty races like Nostalgia? Any of that type of stuff?
Yep. So Summer Nationals, the 19th and 20th. Imports in the Heartland is September 7th. And then there is a specialty race that I'm not going to tell you what it is right now, but we are in talks about a specialty race that would be in the August timeframe.
Okay. Shannon Campbell has mentioned something about a no prep. You've done squashed the no prep. Mike James, when is the first scheduled bracket race, and how many bracket races do you plan to run in the year?
Okay, so bracket races. The first bracket setup is a 2-day. May 4th and 5th will be bracket races number 1 and 2. June 15th and 16th will be bracket races 3 and 4. August 3rd and 4th will be bracket races 5 and 6. And then August 24th will be bracket race number 7. So 7 total bracket races for the season. And then ET finals for NHRA ET finals will be September 19th and 20th. And our complete season for the racetrack will end before ET finals. Our last race of the year will be September 7th.
Early September. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. And that's, so we're doing that because we have to get out of the way for the Christmas light guys to get back in there and start setting everything back up. And I'll tell you, it takes them quite a while to get everything set. So
cool.
On the heads up stuff, small tire, what glue are you planning on using for the track?
We've already talked with Warren Blanc. We're going to be doing PJ1. So
okay.
That goes with Cameron's question here. Cameron Marosov says, what kind of game plan is there for track prep for heads up? And prepping the track will be someone with experience.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all. Yes and yes.
Got it. There you go, Cameron. You've answered it. All right. Here's a solution to the sticker problem. Danny Davis says Luxury Landscape can get those stickers taken care of.
All right. Yeah.
Let's go, Cameron.
There you
Let's
go.
Are you?
Rodney using this.
I love how Danny's volunteering everybody else's services.
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a promoter. That's how he does.
There you go.
Time only passes. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Nostalgia races. You talked about that. Okay, here we go. This is from my engine builder's shop in Salina. Will the concessions still be serving the same fantastic cheeseburgers? Question mark. But in all seriousness, is Kenny the man to talk to about sponsoring / advertising between our shop, which is Advanced Engine Machine, and the track?
So first, I will say on the sponsorship and advertising, yes. Yeah, I'm the guy that you want to talk to about that. We actually already have a couple of sponsors that have stepped up. So we have Truett Roofing is going to be one of our sponsors, and then Holtman Services is going to be one of our sponsors. I've already talked to Daryl Karst too. We're going to be getting together. He's got the hot rods and stuff. And then, I've had some little mentions here and there to different sponsors that I've worked with in the past that are ready to step up and support the track. So that's great. Concession stand. I will tell you right now, the concession stand is not in my wheelhouse, not in my control, and I am super happy about it. So concession stand's going to be running, but what's going to be nice is Amy Richardson and her husband Bruce run bar to bar motocross track, which, by the way, if you haven't ever been out there, that's a heck of a show to go to. So kind of check out their schedule too. But they were wanting to be able to use the concession stand for their events. Now, granted, they understand it's a good little distance from their track to the concessions, but it's the building that you have out there. And so one of the things that we had discussed and I think is going to be really nice is the fact that Amy's going to be running the concession stand for bar to bar, but she's going to stay running the concession stand for our races too. Then that way we don't have to have two different sets of items. We don't have to have two different inventories. She runs it, she handles it. And then, obviously, it's going to be our events and their events. It's still going to be kind of separated, but it's just going to be one person running it with her crew. And I think that's great. It keeps the quality across the board. And I think it's going to be a great deal for us.
Go ahead. Go, Rod.
You were talking about a midnight curfew earlier. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know if I ever been to that track that I didn't get out of there before midnight.
Well, we're gonna work on that quite a bit.
Fair enough.
That's about time for first round, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Just don't worry, guys. I know you did time trials and qualifying at 9 o'clock in the morning, but just wait till it gets dark.
That sounds good. Just bringing it up.
Yep. AJ Taylor says for the heads up index, what tree is it going to be? Instant green or pro tree?
Good question.
Why is AJ got to be so picky? Why has he got to be so technical?
He needs his info. He's got to know.
Yeah.
He's over there.
I've had kind of a 50-50 split on that as far as talking to people in the past on, pro tree versus instant green. I've got about half the guys like the instant green and about the other half like the pro tree. Honestly, I kind of like the pro tree a little bit better just because I think it's better for the spectators who have no idea what's going on. You got a car sitting there on the line and nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, they're going. I think that the pro tree is kind of better for the spectators. So more than likely for this season, we'll run the pro tree. We'll see how everybody feels after the season's over and kind of go from there. So.
Okay. You touched on this a little while ago. Shane Mock says, what glue are you using on the track? And you said PJ1.
Yeah. We're going to be getting, we've already talked to Warren. We're going to be getting PJ1 from Warren Blanc.
Got it. And that's a no prep deal. What's Troy saying? Troy says, talked about midnight curfew, way of establishing a few late night to run past midnight, like any special occasion type of stuff where he could run past midnight.
The bad thing is when I talked to the chief of police, he said that the city of Mays had already started kind of looking towards this curfew issue for the racetrack. So, that's one of the things, like, that's kind of the environment that we're moving towards. The great thing about Arc City is you have no neighbors. I mean, you do have a couple of neighbors, but they don't care. Like, they come to the track anyway. But with Kansas International Dragway, we're getting more and more and more neighbors closer and closer to the track. And so as that continues, it's only going to get worse. So if we can get in front of it and go ahead and establish the midnight curfew now, first season back, and show the city of Mays that, hey, we're serious. Now, could there be a few times this season that we might end up running past midnight a little bit? That it's possible. But we're going to do everything in our power to try and have things done by midnight.
So, like, let's say it runs 12:30, 12:40, sometime between that 12 and 1. Is like the track going to get fined or any kind of crazy stuff like that?
No, we are being proactive about this law before they come down on top of us, because we want to make sure that if we're in front of it, the city's more likely to work with us if we go past it a little bit, right? It's one of those situations where I guess the best way to put it is just us getting in front of this. If we get behind and we go past and the city calls me up, one of the council members, and goes, "Hey man, thought you said you were going to be done by midnight." Hey, we tried everything we could to be done by midnight. We were done at 12:42, and we're going to look at what happened and what we need to do to make that go quicker. So the city's more likely to work with us being proactive on this before they have to enact it.
Okay.
Here, I assume this is your wife, Jennifer Ault. Super proud of my husband.
Oh my God!
Up on this and getting this done. Thought you'd like to see.
No, that's a good job. And we all feel the same way, Kenny. So we're supporting you. You're going to have all the work you want for sure running this.
Oh yeah. I will have no lack of work and things that I have to do with this racetrack. But it's one of those things that there's that saying that if you love your work, you'll never work a day in your life. There were mornings that I would get up to go to Arc City, and like before I get in the car, I'm just like, I don't want to do this today. Like, no. But I'd get 5-10 minutes down the road and go, oh, you know what? It's race day. Yeah. So, I wasn't in the car. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love this sport, right? One of the first videos that my parents had at a drag strip that I was in was at Wichita with the Coca-Cola funny cars. And so, I was like 4, and I loved growing up at the track. Now, my dad said I didn't give a crap about drag racing. All I wanted him to do was get the race car off the trailer so that way I could play with my Hot Wheels. But, we were on a schedule and I had classes to run, so he had to get out of the way. But this thing, to me, it's more about preserving the history and the future of this racetrack more than anything.
Good.
Peyton Westbrook says, will there be a second chance small tire race for us slow guys that run 5.0 or slower to have a chance to race? Will help since there won't be no prep or back of the track.
Yeah, we'll put together a second chance race. It'll be the same as kind of what we did down at Arc City. So,
okay.
Super Pro 8th or quarter?
8th mile. Super Pro, you're going to run 8th mile. Sportsman will run quarter mile. Motorcycle will run quarter mile. High school runs quarter mile. Junior dragster, junior street, 8th mile.
Okay.
Now, could that change after we get the concrete walls? Possible.
Right. Any chance of getting a women's class like Sammy Blake used to sponsor, like Boss Babes and that type of stuff?
We have been exploring that and seeing what we think about that. You guys are seeing my name. Hit me up on Facebook. If you're a female and you want to run a category like that, shoot me a message. Let me know. If we get enough interest for something like that, then yeah, we can put something together.
And with that, since you've mentioned that, anybody watching this that has questions about any of this stuff Kenny's talking about, don't message Rodney and I. We don't have, we don't know anything. We don't have an answer. We have no idea. Contact Kenny, because that's going to be the answer. Contact Kenny. Yeah, yep. You're right there. You.
This guy.
Yes. This is about Import Face Off. Cliff Wallace, owner of Import Face Off, is still open and looking for new venues.
Oh, well,
FYI.
Cliff and me, maybe we can talk. So
good.
Schedule. You briefly touched on the schedule. Are the ET finals going to be in Odessa, the new track?
Oh, I don't know yet. Some of you guys might not know this, but I actually went up and interviewed for the position at Odessa. Had a great time up there with Scott Higgs and his guys. It is a amazing facility. But I know that they're having some problems with some contractors that was the last thing I heard from Scott around Thanksgiving. But those guys are going to do everything in their power to get the thing done. I know that they already have some races that are scheduled with some of these specialty groups, so I haven't heard yet. I will find out when I talk to Nick. We will know where ET Finals is going to be when we go to the meeting in January.
Got a question for you, Kenny. Talking to the owners of the track, is this for yourself being hired the manager, is this a contract for you for 3-5 years, or is this a year-to-year thing?
To be determined.
All right.
Yeah, we haven't actually we haven't gotten that far into our talks yet to see where we're at on that. So I think that's what tomorrow's meeting is. So
here's a junior question. Is there just 2 races for junior MHDRA, junior dragster, and junior street?
No, junior dragster and junior street will race all 7 of the bracket races. I'm trying to MHDRA. I don't.
He says,
Yeah, I don't know what MHDRA is. I'm going to be completely honest. So
contact Kenny.
yeah. Call me and let's talk about it.
Is there any?
He disappeared again.
Yeah. Is there any kind of accessibility features going to be built in this year for any of our totally blind friends?
Oh, dear Lord, Jimmy. Okay, hold on. I want to talk about this kid real quick. So, see that Jim Lewis Swain?
Yes.
Jimmy. So, when I worked in radio, Jimmy is totally blind. I still think he can see a little bit if he gets close enough to a pretty girl. But Jimmy is a great kid. I love him to death. I met Jimmy when I was in radio. I met him they had just gotten done doing a program with Envision, and I met him at Channel 3. And he was a big Red Dirt Country fan. I invited him over to the studio and found out that he was just infatuated with Logan Mize. And so I reached out to Logan and his wife. They were going to be at Damn Music Festival, and we brought Jimmy in and got him on stage. And man, that kid ate that crap up like he was the star, man. And he's actually started releasing some of his songs and stuff. He sings, he writes his own music, plays. He's an amazing kid. So Jimmy, if you're coming to the racetrack, you just holler at me and I'll take care of you. I'll get you taken care of, buddy.
Here's a good question. What happens if the race winners are not determined by the midnight curfew?
If race winners aren't determined by the midnight curfew and we don't have the ability to race the next day, then payouts will be split up accordingly.
Gotcha. Somebody else had also said something about early curfew, like start. How early can you start? This is the same type of deal. Start early. KCR had a curfew back in the day. Is there any rules for how early you can start? Obviously, darkness and weather and dew and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do kind of the same kind of things that we used to. So we're gonna try and if we're doing a bracket race day, we'll probably kick the gates open at 8 o'clock or however early we can get, but probably 8 o'clock will be probably the closest that we can get. So probably open the gates up 8 o'clock, start running cars down the track 9:30, and we'll go from there.
Do you have an idea of the payouts for the bracket races?
Not yet. That's coming. I have it, but I can't throw that out just yet.
Or entry fees, probably. None of that's set up yet.
I have it. Again, I have all that stuff, but I can't. I'm not going to release it just yet. So, but that's coming. You'll be able to see that in the next couple weeks.
Here's an index question. How many index classes? Also, if there are good turnouts, can we have first round losers instead of buybacks? From Steve Baker.
That's something that we can discuss about the first round losers. But as far as the index classes, just for this year, we're going to start out with 3 index classes. We'll do 580, 650, and 12.0.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of this guy named Ron Ward?
Yes.
Kenny, if you're open to the idea, I'd like to speak with you about announcing, says Ron Ward.
Oh, God. Yeah, Ron. Ron, reach out to me on Facebook. Wanted to holler at you anyway, but yeah, reach out to me on Facebook. By the way, as far as announcer goes, I am working on a special guest announcer for the Summer Nationals to help out whoever we have in the tower. So I'm hoping, I don't know if I'll get it done, but I'm hoping to get old Jack Oliver out there and get him on the mic. So, if anybody that's been around Wichita for any amount of time knows that you probably are not going to find a cooler car guy that's into hot rods and drag racing than Jack Oliver from KUIN, which now he's with 92.7, so different station, but yeah, super awesome guy.
Larry Barnhart asks, who is prepping the track?
T-Tops, don't worry about who's prepping the track. Just come out and run your car. But I will dispel this one rumor. It's not Clayton. Clayton already said that he retired, and so he said he's not doing it.
Gotcha. There's Dave Dawkins needs to announce, bring him back.
Dave wants to race. Are you serious? He finally got away from running a drag strip, and now he can actually race his car.
Question about the timing system. You covered that earlier.
Yep. I will holler at you guys about one thing. We are working on specialty trophies that we will have. So I'm working with a couple of trophy shops right now, but NHRA has the Wally, WDRA has the Rod, Kansas International Dragway will have the Keeper. So all of our trophies are going to be 3D stand-up, and they will be silhouettes of the Keeper of the Plains.
Cool. Caleb Turner asks, are you going to have all the equipment needed to properly maintain the track? There isn't anything there anymore, correct?
Wrong. There is equipment that's still there. It's not on site. The equipment is stored somewhere else, but we do have equipment. The only thing that we're working on right now is we're getting a drag. That's the one thing that we're missing right now. So we're gonna work on getting our drag set up, and then we'll have everything that we need.
And here's a question, or not a question. It's Wormser McFrazzle says, I'm getting new slicks this year. Do you want the old ones for dragging?
Sure.
There you go. This person is wondering what the concessions look like right now.
They look great.
Good.
We were in there the other day. They look like the concessions when the track closed down. So
this is brought up a little earlier also. Rental pit spots on the pavement for heads up races. There's not a lot of pavement.
No, we're kind of going to leave the pit rental spaces or any of that kind of stuff alone right now. One of the things that I would like to do is, if we do resurface the track, I want to take a lot of those grindings from the asphalt and maybe fill in some of the grass area for the pits. You know, it's not going to do the whole pit area. We know that, but you know, if we can get a few areas that get covered with that, and then we just got to kind of spray and keep up with that, I think that'll help out a lot. And then the only places that we have that'll be kind of reserve type deal per se, specialty events, we will do. We'll have camping spots that we'll have available for sale, and then if you want to have one of the tailgate spots, we have 23 of those that are on the east side of the track. So if you're coming out for heads up, you're coming out for bracket points, any of the normal races, that'll be a different price than your regular admission. So, but we'll have all that explained when the website and the Facebook page go live.
Cool. That's we got kind of to the bottom of got caught up on the questions for now, pretty much. What you got over there, Rodney?
Oh, Danny just had a good question. Just popped up. That's actually a good question.
For my no prep friends, if they won't allow no prep because they're worried about speed, why allow heads up and not a no prep if they start at the light or the tree?
Because a no prep, you have way less traction, you have no glue on there, and you have a higher chance of a car getting out of control than you do on a prepped race surface. And Mid-America Dragway's already covered all that for the no prep guys. If you go look at their Facebook page, they've already thrown it up. They are actually putting together a Midwest no prep. I think it's March 16th, but go check Mad's Facebook page to double check that.
It is. That's correct. March 16th.
So,
yeah.
See, we're working together. It might be a little bit of distance, but we're working together to try and make sure everybody in the area is happy.
Yes. Yes, yes. Rodney? What you got? Did he freeze up again? Rodney.
I think he did. I don't even think I've seen him sit that still at the Christmas tree when he's in his race car.
Right. I wrote down some of the stuff I seen off of that community page that had some ridiculous comments. Oh, this was brought up. Race the cops or beat the heat deal. Is that coming back?
Yes. So that will be July 27th. And that race will be called Fight the Fuzz. And so I've already reached out. We have Mays Police Department that's going to join in on that. I've already reached out with the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Department. They're going to be a part of it. So we will have the Race the Cops night. So that'll be July 27th. Also, one of the things that I'm bringing back to Kansas International is the YES program that I did down at Arc City. So that's going to be April 15th. That's a Monday, but we bring, for those of you that don't know what it is, so it's a education program through NHRA. They teach kids STEM education through the sport of drag racing. And then we bring the kids out to the racetrack, and we have companies like John Deere, Foley Cat, Spirit Aero Systems, different companies like that. I know the Sheriff's Department talked about setting up, possibly Wichita Fire. We had the Marine Corps bring a semi-rig down from Chicago that had like a digital shooting range in it. So we do all these things, and we let the kids come in. They'll kind of just walk around the pits. They'll see some race cars and get to talk to the drivers and get up close and personal with the cars. They'll get to go talk to these different companies for possible careers they might not have ever thought about getting into. And then at lunchtime, we'll pull them back into the grandstands. They'll eat lunch, and they get to watch all the race cars that we invite out go down the track. So, and I've got a guy that I talked to. It's a possibility he might be bringing it out for that. But I do know we're working on it for the Summer Nationals, but he's got a Nitro Harley. And so we might have some Nitro Harleys for Summer Nationals too. We're working on that pretty hard.
And in that deal, I also wrote down because the question was from Mitch Brown, and we know who Mitch Brown is.
Yep.
He asked about the status of the timing system.
Yep. So we're currently working on that right now to get that new timing system. We know that the old one needs to be replaced, and we're working really hard on that right now.
Cool. I know I missed a few here. Danny Davis asking about Mel Hamilton. Are they supporting the track in any way?
We haven't talked yet, but I'm sure that they will. Some way, shape, or form. I'm sure they will. We just haven't had those conversations yet.
This question from Jason Welch says, "Will you do an end of season junk drag like they do in Oklahoma?" I have no idea what that is. Do you?
Neither do I. Jason, shoot me a message and let's talk, and we'll see what that is. Maybe we can do something after the ET finals.
Brian Stoner says, "If you need tires for a drag unit, I'm sure we could come up with plenty of old dirt track tires for you guys. Just say the word."
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably start collecting a lot of that stuff after the Christmas light guys get out of the way. So, once I get the Facebook page up and running, it'll spread pretty quick because all the drag racers like Gary and Rod and all the bracket racers, they'll start sharing that out. And so once we get those live and all that, we'll put out a message on when we're ready to start collecting and set up some times to do some collections on those.
Okay. This is from Kevin Kelly. Asks, how about doing a chip draw for round pairings? Didn't say what class.
Yeah, that's Kevin. What class are we talking about? Are we talking about bracket classes? Are we talking about heads up? What are we talking about?
Ryan Liker, not sure how this will go over, but I'd be glad to donate an extra bucket on top of entry fee just for facilities improvements or concrete barriers. I totally understand that this is a rebuilding year and improving facilities and safety bring bigger races. Donate an extra bucket. A bucket of cash, maybe?
That'd be awesome. If you're donating a bucket of cash, I am totally game.
Like a Caterpillar bucket?
I don't know. I don't know what we're donating right now.
Yeah. Kevin says all classes.
All classes? I don't know. We can explore that, but I don't know. One of the things that I've noticed with chip draw type stuff for round pairings is it just takes so long. It really does. I mean, hell, I remember back in the day when we were bracket racing, and Arc City had it. They used to have the wheel.
Yeah.
You'd call the class up and everybody would pull up in like 4 lanes and they'd spin the wheel, and whatever numbers landed, that's who you were racing. So,
yeah.
Is Sportsman going to be running quarter mile?
Yes.
There you go. That's from Brian Spinagle. Sure, I butchered his last name.
He's complicated, so.
Yeah, I think he's a Mustang guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He told me to come see him at Topeka during the Nationals, and he told me he was in a suite in the tower with a bunch of people, and so he says, "Yeah, come by this suite." And I walk in, and I'm like, it's a whole bunch of people in this thing, and they're all looking at me like, "Who the hell is this guy walking through here?" It took me about 10 minutes to find Brian in the crowd of people that was in there.
Any interest in an all motor class?
For heads up?
I don't know, but I imagine any class is going to need a sponsor and a supporter to fund it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we do already have our motorcycle sponsor for the ET motorcycles for the season, so we did get that one done.
Good. Hit the numbers on the index classes again.
Okay, so index classes are going to be 580, 650, and 12.0.
Okay. Small tire, big tire. Any daily driver?
Yep. For this season, we're just going to start with the 5 and run like that, and then next year we can expand a little bit.
Okay. I think we hit all the questions.
Yeah, got caught up again until they blow up again.
Yeah.
At any time. That's how it went a little while ago. They just kind of piled in. So
and that's the thing. I mean, everything's so up in the air right now with different things that, everybody wants to know what's going on. Everybody wants to know how to get ready for the season, and I completely understand that. It's kind of like when Arc City closed. When we first started going back and doing sponsorships again, it would have been for the 2019 season when I started working that. I went down to Enid, Oklahoma, and talked with some of those guys, and they consider Arc City kind of their home track, right? It was the closest one for them. And when Arc City closed, those guys didn't want to drive to Wichita. They didn't. Every single one of them that I talked to said, "Well, I don't want to drive through Wichita just to go racing. It's already a pain hauling my trailer." Arc City was easy; it didn't have to drive through anything, and so it was one of those things where those guys had started packing their stuff up because the track was closed. And so I'm sure that there's been guys that, are in Wichita that didn't want to make the drive to Arc City, that just put a cover on their race car and put it in the garage. And so now we're getting the track back open. They want to know what's going on. I see the question there about the index every weekend or just special events. Those will be for our Heads Up series. So the Heads Up races again, April 13th. May 25th and June 29th.
Oh, Rodney froze. We fixed that.
Yeah, but look at him. Look at the way he froze. It's perfect.
He's like, I'm thinking about something.
Yeah.
When he comes back, he should have something very important to say after he's been thinking about it.
He better.
Any idea on spectator admissions?
Spectator admissions, what we're talking is we're probably going to do, and again, this is a lot of this stuff is preliminary. Okay. So, if I tell you something on here and it's not exactly how it ends up turning out in a couple of weeks, don't scream at me. Right. But a lot of this stuff has to still go through my higher ups. But as far as what I'm looking at for admission, I'm looking $10 for adults, kids 12 and under free, except for the tailgate spots will be kind of a different setup. So we'll charge a little bit more expensive for the tailgate spots, but you'll get a couple of tickets included in that. So, but yeah, we're still trying to make it really affordable for a family to come out and spend some time. As far as Summer Nationals go, that price will be a little bit different. That'll be a little bit more expensive because Summer Nationals this year is going to be a show. So
Tim Smith asked, maybe a dumb question, but will there be limits on how many cars can enter the index classes?
That was never an issue before. So I'm going to say no, because every time that we had index categories, that wasn't an issue. We would take as many cars as we could get, which you guys race the Heads Up series. You guys know that, we'd have a handful in each category, but it wasn't like we had, 80 cars show up to run the 650 category. So,
right. Rodney's thinking again.
I see that.
Darn. Ron Spencer asks, will you have chassis certs and licensing passes able to do that?
Yes, we will. We're going to work that out, and I'll release a date for chassis certifications. That'll be after I go to the meeting in January. So,
nobody's asking this. I'm asking this. I'm curious. What was the decision? Only because we know Arc City is WDRA. What was the decision for going with NHRA? This
the biggest thing right now is Arc City, of course, is WDRA, and so is MoCan, right? And, Heartland closed. Great Bend is still shut down. So this first season, the 2024 season, we looked at it and said, look, scarcity builds value. We're the only track in the whole state if you want to run NHRA. I mean, if you go straight down from Nebraska down to Oklahoma, you've got Kearney, us, and then you got to go to Noble or Tulsa. And so with us being the only NHRA track in the area, there's going to be a few guys that'll probably want to run the NHRA ET finals. I mean, look, Sean Roetto, for example, the man went out and won for Arc City. He is the national champion in ET motorcycle. Somebody like that's probably going to want to keep that number one on the side of that motorcycle as long as he can. And the only way to do that is running NHRA. And so I looked at it and, it's Arc City's first season being WDRA. They want to, I think we need representation in both sanctioning bodies, honestly, from Kansas, right? We've got plenty of racers that'll want to run both sanctioning bodies, right? And then we've got a team from Kansas that's going WDRA. We got a team from Kansas that's going NHRA. Now we can go show two sanctioning bodies how you guys race.
A little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
I had to retrieve Rodney again. All right. Keith Armstrong says, what about the rough surface at the top end?
Like I said, we're taking a look at everything. It's really hard to do a lot of investigating right now just because of all the Christmas crap that's everywhere out there. So we're really going to start addressing more after we get those guys out of there. But as far as the rough on the top end there, I mean, driving down through there, you got the little bumps as you go down through there where there's been crack seal and stuff like that. And we'll do whatever we can to try and make that as smooth as possible, because we're going to have to go through and crack seal a whole bunch of other stuff too, to get that back to where it needs to be. But we'll do the best we can with what we've got for this first season.
Right. Brett Lobel says there are a ton of local cars that haven't been to Kid in a long time. Hopefully this will change. That's the idea.
That's the whole thing. I really want to see everybody come out. They say that the two easiest years for a drag strip is the birth year and the death year, because everybody wants to be there when it opens, and then everybody freaks out when they say they're closing, and they all want to go when it closes. And so we've got to make sure that we're doing everything that we can throughout time, it's just like Arc City. They did what they felt was best for the facility to keep it moving and keep it going. And that's all you can do. When you're faced with decisions like track managers and track owners are, it's a guessing game a lot of times on, hey, I'm going to throw this at the wall and see if it sticks. If it sticks, great, we're going to keep doing it. If it doesn't, then we got to change it, but we still got to give it a shot and see what happens. And, we went through a ton of growing pains down there at Arc City the first 5 years trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from on that I'm doing here at Wichita, is I'm going to implement a lot of the things that we had there at Arc City that worked and, that people were happy with. Now, again, just like I said before, am I going to make everybody happy? No. Am I going to piss some people off? Probably. But you know what? You'll get over it in the same pants that you got pissed off on it. I just, one of the comments that got brought up was that, everybody griped and complained that the track closed down. And Gary, you went through that comment page, just as well as I do. A majority of those comments were great comments. but there was so much in there that was negative.
Lots of anonymous
it's like,
posters.
Yeah, guys, just be happy the track is back. You might not see what you want to this year, but that doesn't mean it won't ever happen.
Right.
But you've got to at least give us a shot. We haven't even sent a car down the track yet. So, like I said, we're going to have some growing pains. We're going to have some things that we're going to have to change, by next year. But by God, we're going to give it a shot. We're going to go run at it. We're going to give it 110%, and we're going to see how we end up at the end of the season.
What are your plans for getting cars down the track in a timely fashion, Monty Kipes?
Well,
nice and smooth.
Everybody better be paying attention to the guy in the staging lanes, because we're going to be sending you. So, and if you don't show up by the time we're done running your class, sorry, Chief, I guess you're going to pack it up on the trailer and go home. So there should be no reason why you're not in the staging lanes by, the third call that they give you to get to the staging lanes, right? I mean, especially at Wichita. Wichita's got enough speakers all over the place. You should be able to hear. And we have looked at maybe some more speakers or some new speakers out there to help with that too, but it shouldn't be an issue. You should be ready to race when they're called up there, and once you get on the line, let's move. Right? We're here to race. We're not here to lollygag. We're not here to mess around. Let's get the cars down the track. And a lot of it had to do with downtime, but I mean, it's just like me and J.R. Sandlin were talking about the other night. He's been to Tulsa, and they've had an oil down, and it took their crew, 45 minutes to an hour to clean up a real bad oil down on the track. But he goes, nobody complained about it. He goes, I don't understand. And I said, well, I think it's just been that it's been an issue at Wichita for so long that people have gotten used to, hey, it's going to take forever. Right. But then that's also, I think, part of, personal accountability with your vehicles. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, Gary, you're meticulous with your race car. You could go out on the track, something could happen, and you could lay down some fluid. Right.
Yep.
But for the most part, that your car is going to go A to B without making a mess. So,
yep. And there's a couple questions here about diapers. I suggest everyone gets an engine diaper or pan. Brandon Ash has said, and somebody else here right underneath him, Leonard Foster, says diapers should be on all pro and super pro cars. Are you going to have a diaper policy?
And that's one thing that we are going to look at is a diaper policy for the pro and super pro cars. Most of the guys in the heads up stuff, if they're running cars like what you and Rod and, Cameron Marsoff and the Mox, most of you guys are running something that is equivalent to, a good diaper or a good pan to make sure that, you're doing the best you can to keep that stuff from hitting the ground. But there's a lot of guys that are, regular bracket racers that might not have ever thought about, oh, well, I don't need it. My car doesn't leak or, it does great. But, that kind of goes back to that personal accountability thing. A lot of people have gotten mad at us. I know down at Arc City when I was tech inspecting, people would get upset because we tell them, hey, your seat belts are out of date. Got to get new belts. Well, I don't have that kind of money. Well,
yes, you
Chief,
do.
Sorry. I mean, you can spend $5,000 to build a race car, but you can't spend $200 to get some seat belts. And guys, I'm not trying to. Some people will probably go online later and say, "Man, this guy's a a-hole." But guys, I'm just telling it how it is. I mean, we're all adults. We're all big kids. We gotta do what we gotta do to make sure, we have to do our part as far as the track to make sure everything runs smooth, but it's a two-way street. We got to make sure that the racers are taking care of their equipment too, to make sure that we're not having issues. And I'll tell you right now, I'd say 85% of the racers that I've met over the last 5 years are responsible racers and take care of what they're supposed to take care of. Yep. There is that small 15% in there that, you know, like would come out to nostalgia at Arc City and had, you know, this car sitting in the back of their garage for the last 2 years and just decided one day on a whim, hey, I want to go racing, and never looked the car over, put it on the trailer, and then blows up halfway down the track, and we're out there for 45 minutes cleaning up synthetic oil.
Yep.
So
here's a good question. Season passes. Will season passes be?
Yes, we are going to put together season passes.
Cool. Diapers. More diaper talk. This is asking about track prep. Not sure. We talked about we know what the track prep for the heads up is going to be. It's the PJ1 and stuff. So, Rob. Okay,
we're using
Rob Power.
We're using PJ1 all the way across the board. So,
okay, and I can see in his little picture deal, Rob Power. If this is him, he's a motorcycle. So,
oh yeah. Rob races a powder blue motorcycle. But it is very pretty. I love that color.
We've been sharing track prep at MAD with the motorcycles, and it's been working very well.
Yeah,
they run the same stuff we do right ahead of us, and it's works great.
Well, and me and Chad Allen already talked about that for like the PMRA guys and stuff. So, you know, we'll set it up the kind of the same way that, you know, Arc City's done it in the past, and, you know, continues to do it. You know, we're gonna use the same track prep for everybody, so it's all gonna be PJ1. So
that's good news. I think everybody would be glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Brett Lobel says he's been going to the track since the mid-'70s. I will support it as long as it's there.
Man, that's a long time. That's probably back when the tower used to actually be on the east side of the track. You know, there's actually a YouTube video that you can look up that is top fuel cars. Carl Blanton was the one that posted it on YouTube, but it was the KLEO top fuel dragsters. It was some event sponsored by KLEO Radio at Wichita back in the late 60s. And you can see the track from back then. It's a pretty cool deal.
Your wife thinks you're going to be bald.
What are you talking about? Look, it's already happening. Do you see this?
There it is.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's not going to get worse, right?
Why do you think I wear a hat all the time? I actually got a sunburn on my head at the Nationals last year.
Nick Hayes says, thank you for saying NHRA. We already have that membership. That'll probably be a pretty common theme with a lot of people that already has that. Troy Aves, I know for one, I'm glad to have a track back less than 5 miles from my house. I know many people are excited to have another place to go hang out and enjoy the hobby together. Looking forward to be out there as much as possible.
Now, the question is Troy actually going to be out there with a race car, or is he still just going to be out there as a spectator?
I can't answer that. He might be at the track before I am this next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's a diaper statement. Brandon Ash says, I've cleaned more messes up from bracket cars than heads up cars.
Yeah, I could probably see that, Brandon.
Flip Williams says, what's the best way to get a hold of you for sponsorship?
Mr. Flip, just shoot me a message on Facebook. Just PM me on Facebook and we can get together on that.
Larry Hunt is half of the Titans. Larry and Al run the Titans at 10-5.
Larry, you need to holler at me. I was supposed to get your number from somebody the other day and they didn't send it to me, so you need to shoot me a message on Facebook.
He says, good luck. And the Wichita crew, always great to see another track open when others are closing. Best wishes, buddy. And that's Brett's answer to the tower statement you made. I think you said it was on.
Yeah, over there on that east side.
Yeah,
it sat right about where that wall is that we have all those signs on right there on the east on that right lane. That's about where that tower used to sit. So,
Don Evinger says, "What's being done about your medical help and personnel?"
I've already worked that out. I've already talked to 2 different EMTs that we're going to have on site during our races. So
cool. I didn't read all this, but I'll read this here. Rob, the bike racer says, make the rule. If you oil down the track, you get a warning. You oil it down a second time, it's a fine. Hit a center line marker, it's a fine. That way they don't. That's what they do out on the East Coast. He says.
Well, definitely means that you won't have a cone hunter award after that. They'll have to pay for them all.
And we're back at the bottom of the comments and questions again. They get piled up.
That's
quick.
Good. Yeah.
Yep.
So, this season, like I said, again, it's going to be a rebuilding year. We're going to do what we can to make this thing work, and we're going to listen to suggestions. Let me put it this way. We're going to listen to constructive criticisms throughout the season. One of the things that my dad had talked about back in the day, they used to have a meeting in the summertime or in the wintertime. It wasn't, it was outside of the banquet. So they'd have the awards banquet, and then they'd have this meeting with all the racers, and they'd say, hey, season's over. We're getting ready to start the next season. What'd you guys think? What do we need to do better? What would you like to see happen? And my dad said, it always started out real good, and then it always turned into a gripe session. But he said, honestly, it was one of the best things that I think had ever happened with the track, because even if what you suggested didn't happen, you still felt like you had your voice heard. And it, a lot of times, like for me, man, I'm going to be running around like a chicken with my head cut off on race days, right? Once we start getting into the groove of the day and we're moving cars through eliminations, then, I might have a few moments to slow down for a second. But when you're on race day, that's really, really hard to take constructive criticism about certain things. Now, if it has to do with a situation that's happening right then and there, well, let's go take care of it. But, if it's something that's, hey, maybe you need to implement this, right? Guys, I'm an open book. You guys want to hit me up? You guys want to message me? Whatever, you can. If I don't answer you right away, I will get to you. But, I want to be available for everybody as much as I can. That was one thing that Chris told me when I worked for him. He goes, man, you'd never imagine how much my phone rings. He goes, I have to shut it off at some point just to get some quiet. But that's the thing, you've got guys that maybe they don't want to post it on Facebook. Maybe they just want to have a one-on-one conversation with you. Okay, cool. And so, like I said, you can message me, you can hit me up. If I don't answer you right away, I will get back with you. But, you want to give me some constructive criticism, you want to give me some ideas, that's fine. Just know that if you don't get what you want this season, doesn't mean that you won't ever get it.
Right. And don't ask that stuff as an anonymous poster or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just come out and just be a straight shooter with it. That's.
Terry Cox says, please add schedules and flyers on a website, not just for Facebook, for people that don't live on Facebook.
Yes, Terry, there will be schedules and flyers. Everything will be on the website, just like the Facebook page. I've already got a webmaster lined out that's going to handle our website. So yes, you will have that.
and you have talked about this just a little bit. My wife asked if there'd be any boss babes or diva. Brian is asking that. You did talk about that briefly.
So, yep. It'd be great. I was sitting there thinking the other day, I was like, man, we could call it drag queens, but this day and age, I can't do that. So,
hey, Google that first and see what you come up with.
What's horrible? It's horrible when you Google drag race anything. Like, I was trying to find the website for CompuLink the other day, right? Because I had some questions about that timing system before, we start trying to get it. And I type in drag race timing system CompuLink, and it comes up with like 15 listings for RuPaul's Drag Race. And I'm like, you just killed our sport. Like, come on. Anyway, one thing that I haven't mentioned, but I'm going to. So one thing that I am going to try and do, I would like to. I think what we're going to do for next season, this kind of goes back to what Terry Cox was talking about. So for the 2025 season, I think one of the things that we're going to try and do is we're going to put together calendars that you could pick up from us, at the probably the swap meet next year, because that'd be in March and we'd have time to have them all printed and done. But one of the things that we're going to be doing is I want to put class winners for the cars that are in for each month. So like January, February, March, whatever. So these will be calendars you can hang up in your shop, and you've got, the complete Kansas International Dragway schedule at your fingertips.
Cool.
So
cool.
And it gives you something else to race for, right?
Right.
So, but no, back to the boss babes, the diva thing, Brian. Any of the ladies that want to race, shoot me a message on Facebook. It just depends on how much, draw we get for that. So,
the heads up stuff, you might have hit it and I might have missed it. Will there be a points deal with that, or not the first year?
I'm kind of waiting to see what we get as far as attendance, to see, I don't want to waste everybody's time and throw together a point series. And then, the most that show up is the small tire guys. Right. So, if we're going to have guys that are going to show up and they're going to index race and we're going to get a good turnout, then yeah, we can throw together a point system and we'll go with it. But if we're not going to get, if we don't have the attendance to do it, then we probably won't. So we'll see how it goes that first heads up, or, even going throughout the time leading up to the season. If I've got a lot of guys that want a point series and they want to run for points and run for, one of the top 4 slots, for points, then yeah, we'll put something together. So
cool. The comments have stopped rolling a little bit. If anybody has some more comments or questions, let them rip and try to get some answers. You got anything else you want to throw out? This is you and your time.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things, and it might upset some people, but, talking about the Summer Nationals, I brought up the fact that we're not going to have any bracket racing for the Summer Nationals. And one of the things that I've noticed as a racer going to the Summer Nationals and running, because, Arc City, we tried not to schedule on top of the Summer Nationals, and, going to Wichita, that gave me a place to go drag race. And so I've raced the Summer Nationals a few different times up there, and you'd get in there and you'd run round 1 at 7:00, and you're not going back up for round 2 until 10 or 11 because they put on the show. And then hell, Dan Wheeler even told me he won the Summer Nationals 3 different times, and each of those 3 times it was at 6:00 in the morning. He was watching the sun come up. Right. And so here's the deal. Bracket racing, anybody in drag racing should know this. bracket racing typically does not draw a crowd. Unless you are a hardcore racer or you are a friend or family of the people racing, bracket racing typically does not draw a crowd. Now, that being said, you cannot have a drag strip without a bracket program because honestly, those guys are kind of your bread and butter. Those are guys that you can put together a bracket race and they're going to come out of the woodwork to go racing if there's nowhere else to go that day, right? The heads up guys, you guys put on more of a show, right? You get people that want to come watch your cars run. With the Summer Nationals, that's what that is. The Summer Nationals is that chance for folks that, in my opinion, the Summer Nationals is that chance for folks that maybe they've never had the opportunity or the money to be able to go to an NHRA national event, right? They've never been able to get up close and see a funny car. The funny cars that I'm talking about, bringing in for the Summer Nationals, and I'm gonna nip this in the butt right now before I go any further on funny cars. I already talked to some of the funny car guys that are local, but some of those guys are rolling out and going to Kearney, Nebraska because there's an invitation only deal up there on the 20th. So, I've reached out to a couple of them, and after I got the first couple, hey, I'm going to Kearney, I was like, okay, I'm not going to call anybody else. But the funny car guys that I am looking at getting in to come in, it's 4 cars. They are nitro funny cars, but they only run on a single mag. And so they're slower, but it still has the same nasty flames and sound and smell and, cure for coronavirus if you stand behind them long enough when they're warming up. But, we want to put on a show for the crowd. I've talked to Keith Neiman about putting together a top dragster shootout, 8th mile. Those cars, a lot of them, they're kind of the cheaper version of Aaron Cooper's alcohol dragster or injected nitro dragster, right? They can't run with those guys, but they're still loud, they're still nasty, they're still, they put on a good show. It's the same thing with the small tire cars. If we have you guys doing that shootout, there's going to be a lot of people that's the cars that they want to see go down the track. Everybody's got their favorites, and we're going to try and give everybody a little taste of everything at the Summer Nationals. And for the bracket racers, screw it. Take some time, come out, relax, have a good weekend, and just hang out. You ain't got to worry about working on your car. You ain't got to worry about racing. Just come out and hang out.
Yep. And with the midnight curfew, a big show with big spectacular stuff, it's going to have to be condensed to hit that midnight mark.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, we're going to do everything we can to give everybody the best possible racing track surface facility for the racers, but we're also going to do everything we can to give everybody the best show we can when we have specialty events with the curfew that we're working on.
Yes. Let me put this up. Brian Stoner says, will a license be required to run at the track? We are committed to dirt, but want to come play on our off weekends.
So I've kind of been out of the loop for a while, and everybody kind of knows that, right? So I wasn't working the track last season or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm not completely sure what the license changes were for NHRA. And so I will find out about that when I go to the meeting in January. But I as soon as I find out, I'll release that information. I'm not sure exactly what the requirements were by NHRA, but I will find out about that. So,
Junior Street. There's another Junior Street question. Will there be Junior Street? I think you touched on this.
Yes, Mike. If you're going to drive all the way from Guthrie, Oklahoma, I will make sure there's Junior Street.
There you go. Oh. Cool. Now we've covered a lot of stuff, I think.
You know, Rodney's been in and out.
Yeah, my computer's doing a hard restart through that. So I've been watching through the phone though, just like everybody else. So good show going on. So I just watched it spin blue for a while and it decided to back up.
It's weird when you're
live technology.
It's weird when your box isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is strange.
It is what it is. Nothing to get upset about, but I've been watching.
Where's my guy? Oh my gosh.
Questions coming in and a lot of good answers and did a good job. You know, we appreciate everything you're doing, Kenny. And like I said before, you know, we're glad the track's open back up. I've been just watching comments. You know, to be honest with everybody, Gary's only been pulling like a tenth of what's going on because some are just comments, not questions, which is great. Yeah. So a lot of good energy, a lot of love. You know, they want the track open.
A lot of it. Great. Yeah, a lot of it is a lot of the chatter that we've just been going on because you've already stated where the track is on it is the no prep stuff. And in the future and time comes, maybe that'll change, but there's for sure an interest and
that's the thing. I mean, once we get to the 2025 season, then maybe we can even put together a no prep series. But for the 2024 season, for our first season back, just to get going, we're going to be holding off on that. So,
well, and to your point, Kenny, you just said earlier, there's a no prep down the street, so there's 3 races down there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. If you're a no prep racer, go support Mad. Go down and support the Arc City track, right? Like, just go down there. I mean, I know for a fact, talking to Gary Harper, the WDRA license is cheaper, right? Yep. Go down there, run the WDRA deal at their track, run that no prep. They are giving you the opportunity to run, right? And you'll get a lot of people. I know Rob Powers isn't one of them because he's been down there racing his bike plenty of times before. But, you know, you get some of these guys that talk about, oh, God, it's just so far of a drive. Honest to God, it's not that far of a drive. It's just because it's in the middle of nowhere that it feels like it's that far of a drive.
And it's an easy drive on Interstate. 80 mile an hour, you're there in no time.
Oh, yeah. So easy. Yeah. It's 80 down the turnpike, and then it's 70 going across 166. So, I mean, you can't have an easier trip to go to the track. So,
Sean has asked, I'd missed it earlier. Sean Jennings had asked this earlier. Any test and tunes before May?
Yes. April 7th, we'll have April 7th will be a full test and tune day.
That's a Sunday.
Yep.
Okay. When I go like this, I'm looking at my calendar that's right there.
Yeah, I kind of caught that when we were talking about the heads up earlier. You kept going, what is that?
Oh, yeah. He's got a right there. 5 foot by 5 foot spreadsheet on his wall there.
Here by here, right there. Yeah.
Now, how far away is that wall? Because I haven't seen him squint yet, so I'm guessing that's like huge letters.
It's perfect. My mid vision is really good. My close, I need these.
Yeah.
So since you asked, there's a tape measure right here. The middle of that calendar is 4 feet away.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, that's not bad.
Now, if it was across the street,
I only ask because I've actually seen you in the pits with the glasses on before in front of a laptop. So
I have these things staged all over the place.
Yeah.
They're at my truck, they're at work, they're in my garage, they're all over the place. And
because you'll end up losing them.
I'm 52, and that's what happens. And I'm a welder. So
oh geez.
That's part of the game.
Yeah.
Well, Kenny, just kind of looking through this, been on here an hour 40. I think most of the comments stuff coming through have been answered. I see some repeaters and that sort of thing. Any final thoughts here? Just kind of cruising through here.
Honestly, first and foremost, I want to say just come out and support the track, right? We have to, as a drag racing community, we have to show the family that we want this track here. Okay. Just come out and support us. That's the biggest thing. You know, I don't care if you're coming out as a spectator. I don't care if you're coming out as a racer. Just come support the track. Like I said, you might not see everything that you want to see this first season, but we'll eventually get to where you get to see more stuff. So, you know, it's just part of it. You know, I'm really looking back to a lot of the memories that I had at the racetrack, and I know it's a different era. Things are not going to go back to the way that they used to be out at that track, but the amount of people that we have, I mean, perfect example, that little petition that we put together, the Simons family was floored with, you know, 2,400 signatures on that thing. If we had 2,400 people walking through the gate every weekend that we were open, and I mean between racers and fans, dude, they would have no problem doing improvements to the track. But the reality is we just don't have that, right? And so it's going to be a process to get a lot of these things done, but we're going to do everything that we can to you know, address everybody's concerns and improve the facility as much as we possibly can, to a point where it doesn't matter what kind of car you got, you can come race it at our track. The other thing that I'll say, and I said this in my video, if it was not for the people who have mentored me over the last 5 years, 5 years of working at Mid-America Dragway, and, you know, getting to work with Chris and Jim and the crew out there at MAD, getting to work with guys in NHRA like John Badia and Alan Reinhart and Brian Loans, you know, if it wasn't for all of those experiences, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in right now. And so, you know, I thank all the people that have been there for me, that have been around me. I super thank all the racers that I've gotten to know over the years. You guys have always been great, whether you're having a bad day or not. All the spectators and fans that I've met over the years, just come out and say hi and spend some time with us. And Gary and Rod, you know, known each other for quite a few years, and I'm super happy for you guys on the podcast and seeing where this thing's going. And I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come on here and share, you know, the information that we can with the folks, and really letting them know that, hey, we're back and we're going to build this year, and then 2025 we're really going to come back with a vengeance.
Sounds good. You know, Gary and I spoke about this. You know, we're using this podcast as a vehicle to communicate to the community, and we appreciate that shout out. While you were talking, there was a couple of questions come in. You do have a schedule. You said to be ready in a couple of weeks. Where can I go find that schedule?
So we're going to work on that. What I'll do is I'll actually get with you guys, and I'll get you guys the post or whatever, so that way you guys can share it out too. But we're working right now to get a hold of the domain for the website, and then also working on the Facebook page. So once we get those ironed out, and that's why the schedule is going to take a couple of weeks to release, is because we want to get those lined out so that way we can have them posted on both of those places. So once we get that done, we'll get that shared out to everybody, so that way they know where the website and the Facebook page are.
Fair enough.
Real quick, this is Tim Ault, my buddy in Amarillo, Texas. He comes up here to he used to come and race a kid until a couple years ago, but it looks like he wants to come back. He wants to know what's the sportsman class ET stuff. I'm not a bracket racer.
For bracket racing.
Sportsman bracket racing class.
It said, what's the time for sportsman class?
If it hasn't changed, I remember, I think it was an 11:49 ET break, but I'll have to look. I mean, I don't even have the 2024 rule book yet from NHRA. I won't get that until January. So So a lot of these things, though, like different things about the rules and what the ET breaks are and what the classes are and all that kind of stuff. Once we get the website and the Facebook page up, those will all be lined out and you'll be able to see all the facility rules. So I want to stress one thing real quick. No glass bottles. Worse than mad is kid if you break a glass bottle, because those shards of glass can get stuck in that sandy loam that's out there. And if it's in somebody's pit stall and they go to crawl under their car or something and they cut themselves up, just no glass bottles.
Fair enough.
Daryl Goheen says 1150.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. 1149, 1150. I was pretty sure it was a sportsman break. So
sounds good.
Right. Yeah. Rod, are you good?
I'm good. Great show.
So you are good.
He wasn't frozen this time.
You're good.
We actually liked when you froze earlier, Rod, because you froze like this. Just
I was definitely thinking. I was thinking
with her when you came back on, you was gonna have something to say because you was thinking about it.
I appreciate the jokes.
Yep.
So how close are you guys to being ready for race season?
Not very.
Yeah.
It's not even 2024 yet.
I know. Yeah, you got to get past Christmas before you can start spending money on the race car, right?
I've been spending money on that piece of junk for too long.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I actually asked JR the other day when I talked to him. I said, so how's it coming with Brandon, getting the car back together? And Sandlin told me that Brandon has really started, getting after it and getting the car back together. And then now he's at the point where, it's that post-COVID deal where I've got to sit and wait on parts for however long it takes to get them in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah. Gary knows about that.
Yeah. I waited on parts. It was an issue all year over here.
Yeah. Here's another shout out, and we'll kind of just wrap it up here. Thank you for all your time and information. Looking forward to coming back to the track. So I've been seeing a lot of that just hitting. Thank you, Kenny. Yep. Thank you for your effort. Thank you. Looking forward to coming back to the track. Know it's a rebuilding year, and just see how the energy goes. And
one last thing I do want to say is, the Simon family. This track has gone through a few different name changes. Anybody who knows the history about the track will know that it started back in '63 under the name M&M Dragway. And one of the M's in that M&M Dragway was Marcellus Simons. So that was Mr. Simon and his wife. They have the farm that's right around the corner from the drag strip, or had the farm. Mr. Simon had passed away, and then his wife kept that thing going. And, I was talking with her granddaughter the other day on the phone, and she told me, she says, that woman, we never thought that she'd ever pass. She was 2 weeks before she went into the home, she was out on her gator working in the yard. And so, she was her husband and her were very, very dedicated to the drag racing community. The family has continued to be committed to the drag racing community. And, it was finally, their realization that brought this track back to where we're at now, and we're opening it back up. So, if you see any of those folks, if you know any of the Simon family, Steve, Cheryl, Gwen, Keenan, you guys know any of them, thank them for taking the time to actually even just look at opening this track back up. Because honest to God, if it was not for the Simon family at all, we wouldn't have a track from the beginning.
You bet. No, that's good history there. And, myself, I remember going there as a youngster and watching like Bern Holzman in the javelin,
Oh, geez.
And it's just great. I just threw that out there because it came to my brain as soon as I said it. But like, I just remember those days too in the, it'd be early 80s for me, 85 or whatever. But yeah. Yeah. So I think the whole community is excited. Obviously, from your video that scored like 18,400 views. I think
that's a record for me, honestly.
I'm telling you what. And,
I hit some big numbers when I was at Mad, but I think that one's a record for me.
Well, and it was only 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a quick one too.
Right. Well, and so talking through this on our podcast, Gary and I were talking about this. I think we had Devin at the highest I don't know if Gary's got a number 52 or something.
50 something,
like
yeah.
And I wrote down, I saw 152, Gary.
Yeah.
At a high. So, everybody's excited. We'll keep continuing. We'll post this on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So I just want to, while we got everybody here, still 88 viewers, just go to our page, Gary and Hot Rod Podcast, Heads Up Racing, Gary and Hot Rod Podcast, and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It'll be posted in the morning. Maybe, a question was asked and re-asked, and what did they say about index racing? And you can just watch it back. So we try to keep it around.
And the other thing,
go ahead.
And the other thing is I will keep YouTube updated throughout the season on different things that are happening, improvements, schedules, any of that kind of stuff. I'll keep you guys in the loop so that way you guys can let those folks that are your fans know too. Hey, this is what we've gotten from Kansas International.
Perfect. Right on.
And everybody, go ahead, Rod.
Go ahead.
Everybody around here in the drag racing community, this has been the big mystery all year, and the big question is the track going to open back up? And finally here we got the answers from you, questions answered, lots of information we found out tonight about the future of the track. So big question has been answered. So good to hear it. Great news.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kenny, I'm going to wrap it up unless you got anything else you want to say.
Nope. Just thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you out there at the track this summer.
Oh, sounds great. And we'll be there as well. And Gary and I will have to huddle up and see what day we'll be at what track, apparently, and see what's going on there. But so talking to the viewers right now, I want to talk about Saturday, what we got going on, Gary. And so if you don't plug that, so Saturday, not Sunday, Saturday, 7:00, John O'Neill will be on. WDRA is going to come on, talk about the WDRA a little bit and what they got going on. I think everybody knows that WDRA is going to be at Mid-America Dragway. We did speak with John at PRI. He's looking forward to coming on. I saw the WDRA Facebook page today, and they shared our link, so they're coming in. And so we'll have a good time talking with John about that. So continue to like us, share, and hit our Facebook, hit our YouTube page at Heads Up Racing, Gary and Hot Rod Podcast. We appreciate your support, and that's all I got. Gary, you want to close it out?
Yeah, I'm going to throw one more thing up here. Jason Gunnels, he says, if we have an NHRA license, will we need a WDRA license to run at Mad? Anybody know?
So as far as what I was told, sorry to cut you off, I didn't mean to, Gary, but as far as what I had read and have heard from Harper was that the WDRA will accept the NHRA licenses. So if you have any questions about that, I would just reach out to Harper. But as far as what I'm tracking, the NHRA license will work for WDRA.
Yep. And just as Rodney has announced, if you want to know anything about the WDRA, we're going to have John on. He's a director with WDRA, and he's going to have lots of information and lots of answers. So come back Saturday night at 7, and he'll be the guy to ask and answer all that stuff.
Perfect. All right, Kenny, we appreciate you. Thanks again.
All right, fellas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kenny. Woo-wee.
Great show. Great job, Gary.
Yeah.
A lot of good questions came in and firing away, writing down things, trying to keep all the information. I'm excited when we actually get a real schedule that I can look at and see where we're going and post it next to the other schedule. But the KID, WIR, M&M, I mean, that's just been a track, and it's a staple around here that everybody knows. Even if you didn't have a car running, you went out there. There's so many stories I could tell just talking about just times out at Kid, where it to be with heads up or bracket, summer nationals, fall nationals, winning the races out there, watching some crazy things that happen as far as accidents and that sort of thing. But definitely I'm glad it's back open. Glad it's not for now going to be a sand pit or a housing development or whatever. You hear all the time about like, oh, this track's closing, that sort of thing. So to hear one that is coming back open, near us is just fantastic.
Yeah, you don't hear very often the news that closed for a period of time and then it reopens back up. Once in a while, you see that, but here we got it right out here, so we got to be very fortunate that another track is staying open.
Right on. All right, sounds good. Well, I think it's time to close it up. I appreciate everybody dialing in and chatting with us and keeping it going. Come back on Saturday, 7 o'clock. Talk to John O'Neill. You'll see the face a little different on our podcast. You're going to see some things that we've been working on the last few weeks, and you'll be able to see that once you see it. And then just to be honest with you, after John, we have like 4 more in the pipeline. We have about 7 people that want to kind of get in here and chat it up a little bit about different things. But we have 4 scheduled. We try to keep it around track facilities, around technical, and also around racers. So we're kind of mixing it up a little bit. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. All right, Gary, great job tonight.
Great job to you with some technical ins and outs. And
you made it. Go with the flow,
Ooh, yeah.
Well, thanks for carrying the load.
Kenny had a lot of stuff to say, so he could just talk about it. And I was trying to throw a rope back to you to pull you out of the water.
Oh yeah, you bet. I appreciate that. All right.
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. There's 42 of you. Thank you. Come back and see us again real soon.
That's right.
And
more news to share.
Just a few more days. All right.
That's right. All right.
Goodbye.
Good job, buddy.